Let's just start at the top. I would really love to know a little bit about your story, perhaps like a before and then what happened and an after Jesus kind of thing. So if
Yeah.
you can just share and we'll see where it takes us, I would love to just, yeah, listen and hear your story.
So I was raised Catholic. And for me, and I'm also a gay man. So, and I knew a very young boy, like 4 years old, I knew like something's not the same as everybody else. So I had a very early trauma experience around just being. Now, add the Catholic overlay for me, which was walking into the church and seeing Jesus. In Catholic world, they leave Jesus on the cross, like the bleeding, dying, gross, suffering Jesus is what you look at every single day. You're there. So really what it says to me is they worship the crucifixion. And so that was the world I was living in. And those were people who were raising me. So it was very dark. It was scary. And so I made a decision, like, I don't want anything to do with you, dude. Like, get out of here. I'm not, I got defensive, of course, is what we do when we feel attacked. So I was like, I didn't do anything against you because the idea was he died for my sins. And I'm like, look, I'm struggling just to keep my head above water. So,
Mhm.
so we parted pretty early in the journey. And then I explored spirituality and I found science of mind because that sort of felt like a safe lane. They didn't really bring Jesus into the mix. And there was sort of a group of anti-Jesus people, although they would never describe themselves as such. If you brought the name up, believe me, the reactions rippled in the room. So for a time, it was good for me to learn principles
Mhm.
and to learn spiritual laws. And that was nice. Should I move into the
Yeah, go
uniting
for
with
it.
Jesus? Okay, so this
Yeah.
this is the most fantastical thing of my life, I think, to date. It was 2010, and I decided to go to India to an ashram for a month. I just things were happening in my life, and I was in a breakup in my marriage. We've gotten back together, but it was a rough time. And I was like, I just, you had those like, I got to just get out of here. And so I chose ashram in India, and it was like the third day of being there, and I'm just in overwhelm. And I'm like, why am I here? What did I do to myself? And the teachings were brilliant. And the monk who was teaching told us that each one of us has an appointed divine. We have a relationship within us that is. And so the work we were doing that day was to reignite it and to rediscover it. And
Mhm.
so they led us into this guided meditation, and five avatars showed up. It was Jesus and Paramahansa Yogananda, Guru Mai from Siddha Yoga, and the guru there who was Bhagwan, and Amma, his wife. So it's five. And so I come out of the meditation and I raise my hand. I'm like, I have five. And he goes, no, you don't. He goes, you have one. They have chosen you. Don't worry about it. So I'm like, okay. So the next day we're in class, and brilliant teaching. They lead us into a different guided experience. But I went back to those five. It just was boom. And one at a time, they left.
Mm.
Paramahansa Yogananda was like, I'm not it, but call on me if you need me. Guru Maya was like, I'm not it. I'm here if you need me. He's gone. She's gone. Amma goes, and Bhagwan and Jesus are left. And I was getting emotional here. And Bhagwan goes, take his hands. And I was like, no, I did not come to India to get Jesus. Like I came to get a sexy guru. Like you know what I mean? Like I was all in. I wanted the guru. And he was like, take his hands. And so I took Jesus's hands like this inside of me, and we merged into light. We just became light. And it was maybe the first taste of complete allness and stillness and no thought, and yet so alive.
Mhm.
And I don't know how long it lasted, maybe just a minute or something. It wasn't a whole day experience of it, but it was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. And then from there, like for the next 26, 27 days, That dude would not leave me alone. I could hear him as clear as a bell, as clear as we're talking. I would wake up in the morning and it would be like, "Good morning, Mark." I mean, I'm not kidding you. It was this unbelievable parentheses of time. And I would walk in the gardens and just talk with him, ask him questions, tell him what I didn't like about him. Like, I mean, it was this like stunning healing of a relationship. And one of the things he told me at the onset was like, "What kind of relationship do you want with me?"
Mm.
He literally asked me that. And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, what's the literally, this is dialogue. What's the relationship that is most kind in your world today?" And I said, "Friendship." I don't, that's not parent for me. It's not the mentor coach. Is friendship is where I feel the safest. He goes, "Let me be your best friend. All I want to do is be your friend." Isn't that cool? He like slipped in the comfortable lane.
That's so him.
And then I got to design his look. I mean,
Oh,
he didn't
cool.
stop there. He did not stop there. He's like, "What do you want me to look like?" And
Awesome.
I was like, "I want the sexy shirt open." Like, I mean, I'm like, if I get to pick, man, I'm a game. Give me sexy Jesus. And just whatever, cool jeans, white free flowing shirt. Like, it just sort of
Hippie
designed.
Jesus.
Serious, I had a hippie, sexy Jesus,
Yeah.
and it just designed itself to match the template in my
You.
mind that
Yeah.
felt familiar and safe and fun. I mean, and no one can take that away from me because it happened in me. This is one of the phenomenal things that I keep on hearing Spirit say, "Share more about this because people need to hear this now." Another time, still in India, they're teaching, and I hear in myself, "Say my name and don't stop." And it had an urgency that sort of jarred me. And at this point, I'm used to talking to him and like, "Oh, okay, can you wait a minute, please?" Like, it's sort of getting fun banter
Mhm.
energy. But this one was like, "Say my name and don't stop." And I paused, and the teaching component was coming to an end, and we are about to be moved to our meditation spots for the experience. And I knew there was something here for me that was different from what was being offered in the room.
Mhm.
So I went way in the back and found a corner and just kind of turned away from the group and sat there. I closed my eyes and I remember feeling nervous. I was just like, "Jesus Christ, Jesus," and say my name, don't stop. Say my name, don't stop. And suddenly swirling around it was every name I'd ever been called, every judgment I ever held against myself, swirling. "You're this, you're that." I mean, it was loud and it was mean and it was dark. It was just like the demons were circling. And suddenly I was like, "Jesus Christ, Jesus." Like, I knew why I was sitting in the center of that energy. And it was swirling for a while. It was building, it was building, it was building. And I just kept on saying that. And then again, it just went, and they disappeared. And I sat again in this like silence. And I remember going inside me, "Jesus Christ." And it would just ripple.
Mhm.
Like I was in the canyons or something like that. And it just was so, I mean, what a glorious gift.
My heart. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness.
How
Like,
do we bottle this?
oh, there's so much in this. Like, can I just like unpack it a little bit? Because this is like you're saying, like
Please.
this is so important, I think, for people to hear. Like, there's two things. I'm gonna start with the last story you just told because there's so many elements in that that are so Jesus for me. The one is that he basically gave you his name to focus on, and it turned you into the quiet center, which is I feel what all of the course is teaching us to do. Get into that quiet center, and from the quiet center, you do all your busy doings. And in a sense, it's like he led you to that quiet center so that you can become like aware of the dark thoughts and names that you had given yourself, so that all of the names and thoughts that you had accepted about yourself collapse as the nothingness that they are, so that the only true name remains, which is the Christ that we share, right? And so, like,
Did
that
it.
is it. Like, that is it. I want to highlight as well in your experience with Jesus how joyful and playful and communicative and just in the image that you need that will work best for you, like that to me points to how much he wants to have a personal and direct experience, which with each and every one of us. And like, you are the perfect example of that.
Another fun one, super short,
Do it.
walking in the gardens, and I'm like talking, and I'm like, okay, Jesus, if you're really here, I did a number of those, by the way. If you're really here, in the beginning,
Prove it.
I want you, yeah, prove it.
Yeah.
I want my hands to be healing hands. I want to lay them on people and they can walk, they can see. I want to have this gift. Without a second going by, he goes, that'll never happen for you. Just, and again, I'm a little pulled back. I'm like, well, why not? And he goes, because then it'll be about that. And it'll be about magic. And you're not here to do magic tricks.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
That's it.
Like, so good.
So good. See, that's exactly though, like why it has to be with him, like the direct relationship with him, because only he knows. We think, sure, laying hands and being helpful and being of service, like, come on, why not? And he's like, not for you, honey. I've got other plans for you. Right. Someone else, maybe if they asked and it was part of their plan, sure. But like for the most part, we don't know our greatest good, but he does. So we have to consult him.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was just not for me. Someone else might have gotten the big old yes and their hands would have lit up.
Right. But not for you. Right. Now that Jesus has come to you in this more intimate, direct, playful, jovial way, he's there, the relationship is established. How did that change things for you?
Again, we're back in 2010, and I'm a minister of a vibrant, big center in Chicago. They're not in the language of Jesus. I founded this center in 2003, so it's 7 years later. And, the founder comes home from India and suddenly is, spinning a whole new story. I didn't do that. I had enough awareness, twofold. One, this has got to remain personal for its development.
Beautiful.
So that was really clear that and I felt Jesus like, don't worry about it. You don't have to tell anybody. Yes. He wasn't pushing me to bring people to me. It wasn't that at all. It was like, let's just keep hanging out, and admittedly, I got kind of swept away with the busyness of my life again, and it floated back a little bit. But there are two things. One of them I'm just getting from your question. The initial reconnection cleared the energy of the painful past. Mm-hmm. So that alone created space and energy because I wasn't holding resentment. That was healed in a beautiful way. So that was sort of creating space for truth, thought, those kind of things. But then within the next couple of years, the course fell back off the shelf into my lap. I had been coming and going and having phenomenal experiences, then putting it down and then picking it up. But after this experience, when I picked it back up, then it was Jesus talking to me.
Yes.
Then it wasn't me reading this book about a path. It was a personal conversation. Reading the book as something that over here from a guy who's pointing to a path versus a personal relationship, it has a different vibration, as you know.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a big part of also where the birthing of this podcast came from, is wanting people to come to this place and being like, oh, wow, like Jesus is real. And he is calling me to a personal relationship with me. And he is the author of the course. And therefore, if he's the author of the course and he's still alive and he's still with me, wants a personal relationship with me, well, maybe I can consult him as to what the course means.
And then there's one more story that's in me that I want to share that came, after I'm back in the course, I'm doing all these things. And I did a breath work experience. And in the breath work, have you ever had a breath work session where you literally go on a journey like you're on plant medicine?
I have, actually.
Yeah, that's what this was. This was not plant medicine induced. Right. But let me tell you something. It was a full whew. And Indian on a horse was there, and he put me up on the horse and he took me to this kind of stream through the woods, and Jesus was standing in the stream. And I got off the horse. I went into the stream. I'm facing Jesus, and he says, you've been using the wrong heart. And what he meant was the human heart. We're trying to use the human heart to forgive, to carry burdens, to work things through. We don't realize this consciously, but the human heart is overburdened. And that's why we've got heart attacks. That's why we've got heart disease. It's a misuse of it. And so he reached into his self and pulled out the Christ heart, which is the heart that we share. And he literally put it into my chest, activating it in back of the human heart, between the back rib cage and the human heart, awakened the Christ heart. The Christ heart is what heals. The Christ heart is infinite in its power, its potential to move mountains, to do what Jesus did, this and more. But it was a real amazing distinction for me.
Well, that's an amazing distinction for me, even in this moment, because I talk all the time about seeing with the eyes behind the eyes and hearing with the inner ears. But I don't think that I have used the language of the heart behind the heart. I almost feel inspired to offer to people as well that they are fully worthy of that
Yeah.
experience as well in their own way and the way it's supposed to be for them. But for them to know that they can be empowered in this moment, to know that they can ask for that, be willing for that, listen for that, consult him, just know that they're fully worthy of having their experience of whatever Jesus wants to offer them, to choose the right heart, the right ears, the right mind, the right sight. So like you said, we can do as he did and greater.
Been very blessed with very strong visuals, and I've come to know like that is one of my gifts that I bring here is the creative visualization is on overdrive
Right.
inside of me, and that's what I use when I work with clients and help clients, and I'm able to stream healing for people through that portal. And that portal served me tremendously because people are like, I don't see anything, I don't have those, and I realize like, oh, this is my gift, which I'm grateful for, but everyone has their access point gift.
Right.
Like I think mine is sexy and it's cool that it comes in 3D color and all that groovy stuff, but everyone's is perfectly wired.
So some people it's visual. I'm more of like a visual person like you, but then there's sometimes where it's just intuitive, like it's just an
Yep.
intuitive feeling, or it's like an idea, it just drops in, or it's like a sound, like a whisper of some kind. And so if we're open with all of the faculties, like Jesus will use whatever it is that he can communicate to us the best and the most through. So it doesn't have to look like yours or look like mine, but to just know that if we open to that and we ask for that, we're wholly worthy of receiving it in whatever customized way it needs to come down the pipes.
There's a little move before that. Just take a moment and put on the altar the lie that says, I can't hear. And then you can say, show me how I can hear.
What are some of the mistakes that you think people are making when it comes to Jesus or comes to like having a personal relationship with him? What would you say are some of maybe those mistakes?
Well, from my personal experience, I think one of the mistakes is imagery from the world.
Hmm.
Any kind of, now if the imagery from the world resonates with you, then great, then you can check that box. But I do think everyone deserves to bring that one to the forefront and ask that question. Are the images that I was given as a child from my religion that exist on the billboards that are passing by, does this match the vibration that will talk to you? Because that too becomes a disconnection point. I'm thinking of our beautiful African American and brown brothers and sisters. Like if they're looking at this patriarchal white Jesus, that's just a disconnect, and that's just in the symbol. So the symbol gets to match, like we talked about earlier, like create the color, the gender, the style. Like it's one of those dress me up Barbie doll things. Like you can just, like, if you want the energy to be feminine, but you like, man, I don't know. Like my experience is you could put Jesus in a skirt, you could put him in drag, you can have a blast. He's just like, do whatever you want. So that's number one. Really check the symbol. Just the idea that I have to earn love, that I'm unworthy and I have to do something. That's a big healing for some of us. Well, it feels big. I don't want to make big and small. We know that's one healing, but it can feel.
Yep.
And so that was one that was important for my journey. And it's even when you get to the pumped up idea of like, yeah, I'm worthy. Yeah, I'm worthy. It's like a tenth of the degree there. Because like it's an incomprehensible worth.
Yeah. I asked this next question because I'm just so curious. Like, I'm just so fascinated how people see this. And we've been talking about Jesus healing on the individual personal level, which is what is necessary for all of us to move through. But now my question is, how do you view Jesus's role as teacher or savior of humanity? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Can I check in and see? Because I don't want to, like, let me see if I can, what I can receive, because I don't want my words for this one.
Thank you.
And so it is a brilliant question. And there is a paradox in here. And there is a seduction in here. The seduction is humanity feels big. The seduction is there's 8 billion people. The seduction is this is so gigantic. The reason it's a seduction is because the only place the entire world is ever healed is in our minds. And one mind healed does heal the world. So for most people on this path, saving humanity, saving the sonship, is got to be restored to the revelation that saving the sonship is healing my relationship with my neighbor who I'm upset with because of the boundaries of my fence. Saving the world is not a macro gigantic experience. It's done in the simple, in my hula hoop world. One action of love and reconnection in my hula hoop ripples through the world and humanity, and that's where it is saved. So the news, the world, the dramas, the tidal waves, the big things, if you're called to go be in that and march and carry your signs, by all means do that. But never forget that that is just activity out there, that if it does not come from a healed relationship inside you, then you're making noise. That's hard for people to hear, but that just simply is the truth. Another way to say it, if you are holding anyone outside of your heart, do not pick up that sign in March.
Yeah.
If you are holding anyone outside of your heart, you would serve humanity better by going home.
Mm.
These are big ideas, but this is a point in time where this must be considered and chosen. There is no big world out there. There are the simple healings in you that save the world.
Oh my gosh, the goosebumps are just unbelievable right now. But I am so grateful for your visual of the hula hoop. And we are responsible for our hula hoop. And when
And
we
that's
focus on just that, that's enough to ripple waves into everything else.
it's more than enough.
Yeah.
That's why we don't want to do it. Like we want to go out of our hula hoop. We want to go out there. And that's why, and I'm so grateful for that information too, because oh, that's right. That is the great seduction. And it gives me permission to not deal with my hula hoop.
Right?
Right? Well, I'm so concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to use your words. We got to kind of call bullshit.
We got to.
It's bullshit. Bullshit. Do your work. Stay in your hula hoop. Because you know what I know? If we stay in our hula hoop and the hula hoop is purified, then the hula hoop will get bigger.
Yes.
But
Yes.
until we need to earn the bigger hula hoop, if you will.
Yes, I love that. And I love if you haven't like forgiven or healed in your heart, like all people, like you're not ready to branch out to the all people. Like, so just keep it humble, keep it where you are. I love that. Love your neighbor, love your friend, like love your partner. Like that's where it happens. And I feel like that's what Jesus's message was and why it was so radical. Love your neighbor, love your
Yeah.
enemy, and the end. Like
Yeah.
enough. I feel like part of my mission is to rebrand Jesus. Like
It is your
rebrand
mission.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's so my and of course the miracles obviously is my path,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that sings, makes my soul sing. Well, thank you so much. And thank you people for watching. I love you guys. Like and subscribe as always to help bring this message to whom it's meant for. But Mark, I love you. Thank you. Peace be with you. So deeply grateful.
Peace and love.
Bye.